see what Facebook account I'm under. Cool beans. That's right.
For sure.
The interface between the two is so damn slow.
Yeah. It's not quite as slow as the other one was, but
No, that's true. That's true.
this one's not too bad. It's still like 5 seconds, something like that. But since it's the only thing lighting my face up, I'm just gonna keep it up so I can try to keep up with the comments if you're having. Oh, damn it. There's Horse.
All right. Hey, there's Horse. Everybody's in place.
I think so.
All right. Well, we're now recording and we are live on Facebook for our increasing fan base. I was very oddly surprised. I don't know if you guys saw this this morning, today. In about 24 hours, we increased drastically. Just over one meme that I posted into a libertarian group that got taken way the fuck the wrong way.
That doesn't surprise me though.
But it's set people on fire, and so I'm like, all right, whatever. I guess any exposure is good exposure.
Right.
But anyways, for those of you who are just joining us, this is Uncivil Liberty. My name is Luke. Horace, you still are wearing my name. I don't know how that's even possible.
I don't know because I logged out and closed the app, and
Did you go through the invite? Okay, whatever. But that's Horace, the other Luke Von Trapp, and there's Halston right there. He's actually got his name on.
That's right. Yes, I do.
Right. So yeah, and actually we're bringing on a new member of the team. Hopefully the next couple of weeks he'll be able to start joining us as well. We've got a new I wouldn't say a new guy joining us, but I've been friends with him for a while. He's been kind of plugged into the Alabama political side of things for quite a bit. So Whit's going to be joining us. He couldn't make it tonight, so look forward to seeing some posts and some articles from Whit as well. We've kind of been slacking on the content on the website. That's our fault. Life's kind of caught up with us, and we balance multiple different projects on top of this one. So hopefully here soon we'll be able to get back on a normal posting schedule there. Anyways, for those of you who are joining and who just like the Facebook page, thank you so much. Feel free to share it. Feel free to comment. Feel free to tear us apart. We love hate mail. If you have hate mail, send that hate mail on to us.
Send it on, bitches.
Send it to admin@uncivilliberty.com. I'd love to read it. It makes my day. It really does. Yeah. But so today's topic, as the title of the show goes, Spain and Vegas and guns. Oh my! A lot of stuff been going on in the news in the past week. And we're pretty much gonna shoot fish in the barrel and start jumping on some of the obvious ones. So Halston, you said you had some stuff prepared. You want to lead this one on?
Yeah, man. What you want to start with first, man? Start with first. What would you like to start with second? What would you like to start with eighth? Shut up. What would you like to start?
Sure. Yeah, that. I'll go all the way, baby. All the way.
All the way, baby. Yeah. So excuse me, I'm a little hoarse. I'm under the weather or whatever you want to call it, whatever you guys call it, wherever you're from. So I think I'm gonna start with just some overall Second Amendment type of stuff, because I think kind of all of this goes together, and Catalonia will be tied in eventually. I think we all have kind of the same agreements on Catalonia and how it ties into some of the stuff we deal with here. first of all, I'd like to talk about some gun laws, just because it's such a knee-jerk reaction when something like this happens on both sides. So you got the knee-jerk reaction of, oh my God, everybody's coming to buy my guns or coming to grab my guns. Like we've already seen the gun manufacturers' stocks go up after this, and it kind of seems heartless, but that's just the way the mentality is. Something happens, you go buy more guns because they're going to take them from you. The other side of the fence,
Economics doesn't have feelings.
right, exactly. Then the other side of the fence, you have the bleeding hearts who are let's take all the guns away. So it's and there's various things in between there that with feelings. It's mostly feelings and emotions because I mean, let's face it, there are a ton of liberals out there that really have no idea about guns and gun laws, and then there are a ton of conservatives who think they know about guns and gun laws, and they really don't. So I'd like to kind of clear some things up a little bit. Number one, I would like to say that bump fire stocks are retarded. I think that if you think you're going to make an AR-15 automatic by buying one of these pieces of shit, you're just stupid. I mean, they're fun to play with. I've shot a couple of them at the range, but I saw some guys that were dressed up in camis. They were the Northern Alabama Alliance or some bullshit, and they had like a 9 by or 12 by scope on their AR-15 with a fucking bump fire stock. Like, what are you doing with that thing? Get out of here before you kill somebody. But that's not an automatic weapon. So when people say that this shooter in Vegas had an automatic weapon, maybe he has. Maybe we haven't seen everything that he's had, but what he has had for sure was an AR-15 with a bump fire stock. So it's this is one of those things that's completely legal, but it's kind of on that fine line with is it an automatic? No, it's not an automatic, but it certainly simulates one really well. And that is completely legal, and it seems as though this guy, without diving into conspiracy theories or whatever, this guy legally obtained these firearms and legally modified them with these bump fire stocks. The one thing that he did illegally was kill a bunch of people. So I'll open that up for you guys.
Yeah. Get some a drink. I can tell that your voice is starting to fade a little
Going
bit.
away.
Yeah. Horace, what you got on this?
Honestly, from what I've seen, there's been no. From what we've heard, I've seen as far as what the police are saying, there is no sign that it was actually any automatic weapons whatsoever. The bump fire stock is what he was using to, simulate automatic fire, and I have a lot of questions about it at this point. I think there's a lot. I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all. I generally despise conspiracy theorists.
Oh, you must love me then.
Oh, you ain't got nothing on Katie.
Calling her out, really? Oh man, someone's in trouble.
No, Katie will be the first one to tell you she is one of the biggest conspiracy theorists around. So it's not calling her out. It's just, I know my wife and I know exactly what she would say to the question. But in this case, there's some things that make me, that have me thinking this is a false flag. There's just too many little idiosyncrasies, too many reports of multiple shooters. I've seen video now of multiple flashes that, look like they could be from an automatic weapon coming off the 4th floor. Yeah. It's just one of those things. Like I said, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but damn, in this case,
Well, that's the funny thing is that, of course, people who know me know that I'm willing to entertain pretty much any idea, and pick it apart and, say, okay, yeah, all right, let's assume this is true, and then go down this path, this logical reasoning path. And in this situation, what's really odd, I don't want to say funny, but what's odd is that you're seeing more and more people actually questioning the official story. which you compare this to 10 years ago, you would not have probably seen. You would have been like, oh, they said it was this. We're going to believe it because nobody would lie to us. Our government wouldn't lie to us. The police wouldn't lie to us. They wouldn't lie to us. The media always tells the truth. Nowadays, people are like, well, you might be saying this, but I got this video on Twitter that's saying something completely different. So where's the story at? So that for me is comforting, that people are at least listening to the official story and then starting to dissect it in their own minds and talk more about it. Not so much throwing out conspiracies, but at least saying, this shit ain't adding up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right too. Yeah, I mean, something like I told you guys from the get-go that something seemed a little fishy about it. I mean, I don't want to dive right in there because I've seen some of the videos that you're talking about, Horace, and I've seen some other videos that claim to be gunfires in other casinos in the area or other hotel part, the hotel part of the casino, not necessarily the actual casino.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And one was pretty quickly debunked as a guy's flip flops running by. They were like automatic fire since motherfucker running with flip flops on. So that was one of them. But there are some that definitely look like and sound like gunfire coming from other places. And just when you look at the overall bird's eye view of Vegas, where the Mandalay Bay Event Center is, there's certainly possible to have some echo from a weapon, whether it's single shot, automatic, doesn't really matter. There's certainly some places we could have an echo, but not that distinct crack two times. That's what seems a little fishy to me. Is there's distinct cracks that are. It sounds like it's coming from two different firearms. So, I mean, we will probably never know. It very well could have been one dude, and a lot of people are kind of seeing things differently, but it definitely seems fishy to me.
Well, it's a sad state of affairs too that let's just say the official story is the actual story, that people can't trust what their government is telling them, what the media is telling them. Either way you look at it, there's a high level of mistrust, and it's kind of sad that we as people we can't trust the official story because we've been lied to so many times, and these lies have come out as in broad daylight. Nothing's ever happened, so people just kind of just take it as, all right, well, next time I won't be such a sucker for them.
Yeah.
But you want to look at this, and the first knee jerk reaction. I know that we talk about knee jerk reactions a lot in conversations between the three and now four of us. One of these knee jerk reactions that you always see after something like this is we've got to do something about these guns. We've got to take these guns off the street. Criminals would not have access to these guns if we had more laws that would prevent criminals from actually breaking these laws. This type of circular logic that you see, especially more on the left side, but you start seeing some of the more independent people also kind of starting to be like, yeah, we gotta start banning these things so nobody can get their hands on it.
Then I have an idea. Then, if we're going to take that route, let's ban murder and rape and heroin and cocaine and marijuana.
Yeah. Let's make actually committing a crime, and that way nobody will do it. Right? That's the logic behind it.
It's like, how stupid can you fucking be? And don't answer that. I know the answer, and it's oh dear God.
Right. Yeah. I mean, well, here's the thing. I don't think this has been broken out logically enough for someone that's having an emotional reaction to a logical event. Now, when something like this happens, and I own as many guns as anyone that I know. And when I see something like this happen, I immediately think something has to be done to stop things like this from happening again. But it's not, I never go the route of, well, we need to ban all the firearms. Because logically, when you think about this, think about this guy, right? He had to have planned this for a while. He sent his girlfriend, gave her $100,000, sent her to the Philippines so she wouldn't be around for this. So he's planned it for a while. And he bought these guns legally. So say these guns were illegal. If he was going to take if he was going to buy into it this much and he was going to invest this much money, this much time, and this much effort, don't you think he would be patient enough to wait until these weapons came along on the black market, or go seek them out to buy them on the black
Mhm.
market? If you really wanted to kill hundreds of people, he would go do it.
Right.
Yeah, and
It doesn't fucking matter how he does it. He would go do it.
he had more than enough money to buy full auto on the black market.
Right. Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of inconsistencies in the story that, and it's understandable in a situation like this where people are going to want to have this emotional reaction. They're going to, like, the knee jerk. We've got to do something, and the only thing we can do is rely on our politicians to make some more laws that either won't be enforced or are completely and totally immoral. It's very hard to maintain a level of rationale through an emotionally traumatic event like this, especially if you're in ground zero.
Yeah.
And I totally understand the emotional reactions of being in the gunfire. And I think one of the musicians who was pro-gun actually came out being anti-gun because of this. Totally understandable, man. You've had an emotional, a very traumatic event that most people who haven't been in the military or anything, even most people in the military, haven't really been in. So while I can appreciate the emotion, people have kind of got to take a step back and breathe. We got to see what's actually going to happen, how the investigation progresses before we start going around trying to grab the guns from registered Democrats on psychotropic medication.
Yeah. I don't
So
know.
that was a yeah and a cough. That's it.
No, I'm.
Robert's going wild in the comments again. I can't keep
Oh
up with
God,
his,
yes, that
his
boy
dizzying
is so wrong.
Oh, is that what's going on? Is that what I'm missing? Oh my God!
Yeah.
All right,
That boy is so wrong.
He's out of control.
out of control.
But yeah, I mean, so I kind of wanted to go and talk about some of these things that you hear in arguments back and forth when something like this does happen. And the first one that actually somebody on one of the comments today or yesterday or something like that in one of the libertarian groups was like, "There's already 20,000 gun laws on the books."
Yeah.
Well, that's not true. Just throwing that out there. That's not true. That's just a kind of one of those made up numbers that NRA has been saying forever. There probably are thousands, considering how many states we have, how many municipalities and counties and shit like that. There probably are thousands, but there's not 20,000. So I wish people would get their facts straight before they start throwing random numbers out. The other thing is they bring up Australia and how they haven't had any mass shootings since 1996 or 94, whenever it was that they did their big gun buyback. But what people don't talk about is their gun violence. It was, if you're looking at it on a graph, it was already going down prior to the gun buyback, but it didn't go down at a better rate after the gun buyback. And then by the time 2010 rolls around, so this is would have been 14 years later, the amount of firearms inside of Australia that were illegal, the circulated number was already back up to the pre-ban number. So they really haven't stopped anything, quote unquote, other than mass killings, right? Because that's pretty clear that they haven't had any more mass shootings. The facts don't lie. But as far as gun violence goes, it really didn't stop any of that. So making guns illegal or having some big government buyback program like we've seen in Sacramento and Sacramento, there's another city, Seattle. It just doesn't work. It's not practical. You don't have, criminals aren't taking the cream of like a functioning firearm that they're going to use in a robbery. They're not going to go sell that back. They're going to sell you the piece of shit that they stole from their Uncle Timmy or whatever. It's not a feasible solution to the problems we have.
No,
None of those are.
And I mean, if you look at other countries like England, they got rid of all the guns basically, except for pretty much just shotguns for hunting. And now they don't have guns. Violence didn't go down. People started using knives, and now they're talking about banning kitchen knives.
Yeah.
So
it's a good idea.
Well, and a lot of people, especially on the left, and I hate using that right left paradigm, but it's probably the best way to kind of describe it. Um, they advocate saying, well, Denmark or this country or that country in Europe has been able to, they banned guns and they're a peaceful country. Yeah, that's true, and I will give them that. However, one thing I've noticed though is with these countries, they have a more peaceful mentality to their culture, whereas we don't. And one of the things that I've been saying since the beginning in a lot of these groups, WAFF, all these other places that I like to troll, is we as Americans don't have a natural respect for human life like we used to. 60 years ago wasn't a big deal, you know, if you had a shotgun in your truck on school grounds. Wasn't that big of a deal. Nothing was going to happen because people actually respected life. And in a lot of these other countries too, yeah, there's a little bit more respect in their culture for human life. They don't get involved in needless wars. They don't advocate for sending troops in. And a lot of times when they do have to send troops in, they send in like 10 accountants. Those are the troops that they're providing the paperwork pushers to support whatever war efforts going on in NATO. Uh, these countries are peaceful because the people are peaceful. The people want peace. We don't want peace. Whether you're a Democrat or Republican, nobody wants peace. Everyone wants to go to war. Everyone wants to use drones to take out these people over here. If they're brown, it's good to go. And so you can't feasibly say that you could, take, take guns from people, and think that violence and crimes against people, murders, are actually going to go down.
Absolutely. I mean, it's ridiculous.
You're right, and I mean, that's what It's really hard to get someone to empathize with someone who is a mass murderer. But when if you do try to put yourself in their shoes, and you're like, well, fuck, I just snapped, I'm gonna go kill a bunch of people today. I have mommy issues or whatever the fuck your problem is.
Mommy didn't buy me a pony. Yeah.
Right. So you decide you're gonna go to mommy's work, just happens to be in elementary school, and fuck up a bunch of little kids. Well, you know what a 16-year-old boy could do to a whole bunch of kindergartners, right? Does he even need a fucking gun to really fuck up a bunch of kindergartners? No, of course not. He can walk in and grab a desk and start beating them over the head. Right, that's what I'm saying. Nobody can get inside these people's heads and be like, oh yeah, let's talk about that, because it always goes down the fucked up path. But that's reality. Unfortunately, that these people, when they snap and they decide they're going to go do this, nothing's going to stop them. It doesn't matter if they don't have a gun; they can take a screwdriver or a hammer or a frozen bottle of water. It doesn't fucking matter. Whatever they can get to go hurt whoever they think they need to hurt.
Well, how many times now have we seen stories from overseas where, very, very tight gun laws, and we see knife attack, machete, bladed weapons being used to, maim and kill numerous people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and and you look at it too, explosives. I believe it was it in London? They had a terrorist issue about a month ago in regards to some explosives, and I want to say it was London. I know Moscow's had some issues too, with terrorists using explosives. If someone wants to do something bad to a lot of people, they're going to find a way to do it. If that involves stealing a bus and driving it into a crowd of people, they're going to do it. It doesn't matter, in a lot of times the argument's like, well, with a knife you can't really kill as many people as you could with a gun.
Bullshit.
Yeah, but guns are just a tool, just a medium. You have to go back to the root cause. Where this gun control argument here is trying to treat the symptom and not the disease when it comes to the overall big picture. And there could be multiple issues here that are actually the root cause issue, but everyone wants to go to the gun first as being the most evil thing out there.
Oh, definitely, especially when you get to the left or liberal side of things. And I understand not all liberals, because I have a few liberal friends who are pro-gun.
Blue dogs.
And they, but I keep seeing this, and I've seen a couple of times lately. It's like, you see all these things where a Muslim did this, and the left is like, well, it's not all Muslims. But as soon as something happens with a gun, all gun owners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
We're
hypocrisy.
gun worshippers, or gun culture, or whatever they want to fucking call it.
It's blatant
It's a logical
hypocrisy.
inconsistency. That's what it is.
Yeah. But I mean, like you said, Luke, I get it. I get the emotional outcries. I understand it. I understand. I want this to stop too. But this is the real impasse here, right? With left and right. So us three specifically, because there are very few like us. We can remove ourselves from the left and right path, but we have the left saying we have to get rid of guns because I don't want guns on the streets because I want my family to be safe. And then you have the right saying you can't take my guns because I want my family to be safe. Both very valid arguments, but you're at a complete impasse because which one's more valuable to which one? So you really, it's just one of those things that this argument will never be settled. And there's not a good way to do it.
For me, it's very easy to settle. Your feelings about being safe do not trump my ability to keep my family safe.
Right. Doesn't matter to them. That's the thing.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of times the argument is, the police. You have the police. Their job is to protect you. And and if you've paid attention to the page at all, I've kind of put some stuff out there saying, first off, the police are not required to protect you. That's a complete total disinformation from top to bottom. However, in other cultures where they don't have guns, they have a police force that is actually accountable to the people. They are tasked for protection, and that's why you don't see as much violent crime, is because the culture of the police force there is actually a public servant, not jackbooted thugs who enforce bullshit laws.
Yeah.
So you can't. So I mean, like, was it last week we're debating all this police brutality and this, that, and the other, and taking a knee at NFL games and everyone's up in arms, no pun intended. And then now you have where only cops should have guns. Well, which one is it, people? Pick a side, because if you don't want the police brutality, you need more than just the cops to have guns. Can you imagine what the police state nowadays would be like if only cops had guns?
Oh, it would. Tyranny is the only word to describe it. I mean, there would be no stopping them. They would do what they wanted when they wanted without any way to hold them accountable.
You mean like they are now?
Yeah, exactly. No, don't worry. We're going to investigate ourselves. Try using that in court. I'm sorry, Judge. Yeah. I don't think I was speeding, but I'll investigate myself and I will let you know if I was, and then we'll take it from there.
I'll get my brother to do it. I'll get my brother to investigate.
Yeah, I'll get my brother over here to make sure that I wasn't breaking any laws, and we'll be good. I'll actually take 2 weeks off of work, but it'll be a paid vacation, and while my brother makes sure that I didn't break the law.
Yeah. I will give you you have valid points, but on the flip side, I'm seeing more and more stories of cops who have been convicted and are going to prison.
I am too. Finally. Yeah. You're right.
But here's the thing: they are not going to prison for the same time, for the same length of time as a civilian would. Yes, there is some judicial recourse actually happening. Yes, the police are actually, being somewhat held accountable because of all the shit that's in the news now. But I'm sorry, if I go out and rape a 12-year-old girl, my ass is gone for the rest of my life.
Oh yeah.
I don't get to keep my pension. Whereas this motherfucker over here gets 6 months in prison and gets to keep his pension.
Well, I just saw a story a couple of days ago. I don't remember what they did, but 2 officers, both convicted, both were had been sentenced to 15 years.
Saw that.
So, it's not all.
I was surprised on that one. But what's that old Southern saying? Is it, a blind sow picks up an acorn every now and then? Is that the? Yeah. It's the exception to the rule.
Yeah. but we are seeing it, and I would like to think that we're going to see more and more of it. And
Mhm.
even if we don't see that, um, what was the one case where the one cop was sued in civil court? And the judge said, "Well, the department's not going to be picking this up.
Yeah.
You're going to be paying it out of your personal pocket." And they took his home and everything else he owned.
Yeah, I did see that come through the headlines as well. Yeah,
So
I mean, these may be one-offs, or this may be a new trend that's starting to happen. Well, we'll have to kind of just pay attention and see where that goes. But the way the status quo has been is that the police operate under this false marketing of protect and serve. People buy into it. Um, Supreme Court has said that's not what we do. That's not what the cops
yeah,
do. That's not their job. Your
yeah,
protection is an unintended byproduct. That's not their job.
Yeah.
Um, and so so people put their faith in this concept of protect and serve, and that's more so on the left. Get the guns away from the people who are being responsible, in hopes to be able to prevent the irresponsible from getting it, and let's just rely on the responsible police force, who we have been protesting against for since Ferguson, to be the
yeah.
ones to be in charge of our protection. A lot of like cognitive dissonance, intellectual dishonesty, depending on what day it
Blatant
is, which stance they're taking.
and blatant hypocrisy.
Well,
I
yeah,
mean, that's just you know,
Yeah.
but it's funny because this situation ties into something that was happening on Sunday, which there's some really good parallels that can be drawn between the current hysteria that we're in as far as gun grabbing and what's gone on in Catalonia, Spain. For those of you who aren't aware of what's going on in Spain, no one really pays attention to Spain. I can't really say I blame you. It's not really that hip and up and coming of a country. Not really doesn't really make the news that much. But Catalonia is a province, or I guess our version of what I guess a state. It's a
I
region
think so.
It's
inside.
a region. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a region inside Spain that's has been peacefully trying to get their own independence now for probably about at least 10 years. I've been kind of seeing it
Oh
pop
no,
up.
man. No,
It's
man.
been longer than that.
Oh yeah. It's been going on for 9 centuries now.
Okay, so that was a little bit before my time.
Little bit off. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
okay. But you're right. Yeah. Realistically, like recently, modern times, they've been going at it for about a decade. But this has literally been going on since the 12th century.
Okay, and you said you had some research on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go for it.
So I'm not going to spell out the whole history lesson here, but there were when around the 12th, sometime in the 12th century, Catalonia decided that they were going to be under the crown of Aragon, right? Aragon, right? If you want to look it up. So they decided that they were going to fall underneath the crown, but they were going to retain some autonomy, and that was about 400 years later. Aragon merged with the same one that sanctioned Christopher Columbus to come to America. I can't fucking remember.
Portugal.
No, yeah, but yeah, I can't think of the name. Castile, is it Castile? Isabella of
Mm,
Castile. Yeah. Anyway, so these two houses joined, and at that time, Catalonia was basically crushed. At that time, they were. It was like, all right, we're getting rid of you. And then several times throughout history, the Catalonian or Catalan people and the language and culture kind of came back up, and then it was squashed down again and came back up and squashed down. And it's kind of this constant thing. Now they haven't always fought for independence, but they've always fought to be recognized as an independent culture because the languages are different, the cultures are different,
Yep.
the heritage is different, and we're not talking about like Rhode Island. We're not talking about something so small in the country. We're talking about fucking Barcelona. Like there's only two places you think of in Spain. It's Madrid and Barcelona, and that's kind of the two cities that are against each other right now. The two biggest cities in Spain, arguably.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, the most recent vote for independence was in 2014, and it was about 80% of the country. This time it was 90% of the country, and it seems like it's gathering more steam, more and more steam.
Yeah. Well, and so kind of tying onto that, they had their referendum on Sunday, and apparently Madrid, the prime minister in Madrid, said it doesn't count. It's like, hey, you guys don't get to vote. There's no need to vote. You guys, it doesn't work. So he's sending their version of the National Guard, the National Police Force, to go and actually shut down the voting booths, to the polling centers. Sent riot police out there to stop people from voting. Regardless of where you stand on the political spectrum of right or left, there's a serious and simple concept that people have the right to choose to be governed the way that they see fit. If you're an anarchist, you don't believe in government, great. That's you, man. You do you. But overall, if a group of people say we don't want to be governed by your rules, we now want to be governed by our rules because we feel that this government is going to best represent us. That's actually a right, and I believe the UN actually is one of the organizations that has even said that in the past, that people have the right to be able to be governed the way they see fit. But because Spain has some of the strictest gun laws in Europe compared to some of the, in conjunction with a lot of the other ones, these unarmed protesters who were trying to exercise their right to vote, whether Madrid was going to count it or not, they were going to vote, were met with violence by the National Guard to prevent them from voting. So when the left in this country argues against having guns, that we don't need guns, and when the left is looking at doing something like a California exit from the United States, whether it's plausible or even possible or not, who knows? It's these laws that give them the access to firearms to allow them to prevent tyranny from happening and preventing them from being able to vote as free people to decide how they want to be governed. So you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot, no pun intended, when you are advocating against being able to have firearms under the Second Amendment. When in some cases you're looking at actually trying to set up your own government. What do you guys think?
Yeah, well, I mean, so let's pick out some of the bitchiest things that we find to bitch about during voting time, like voter ID cards and all this shit. And you talk about voter suppression and gerrymandering and all that stuff. And that's like the worst you can think of in America. You can't think of Republicans or Democrat. Let's just, since we're talking about the left now, let's say that Republicans have everything. They have the House, they have the Senate, they have the presidency, they have the Supreme
Like they
Court.
do now.
Right. Yep. And they just overwhelmingly start pushing these laws, and there's not enough Democrats to stand up for what you believe in. And then all of a sudden, like police and the military fall underneath this Republican umbrella, and they start pushing back on your right to vote or your right to do anything for that matter. So then you switch back to Catalonia and Spain. We're talking about fucking Spain. We're not talking about some third world country in the middle of fucking nowhere. We're talking about Spain. We're talking about vacation hub. We're talking about been a country for fucking ever, been a democracy. Well, it's only been a democracy since the 70s, but been a first world country for a long time. This is very real that it could be here. It's very real.
Oh yeah.
A little paranoid maybe, but it's very real. We're still talking about fucking Spain. We're not talking about somewhere in the middle of wherever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's extremely plausible. Especially given the fact that let's just hypothetically say that people get enough movement on this Cal exit thing to where it actually gets pushed to a referendum. Are they gonna be okay with the fact when Trump comes in and says nope, that ain't happening, and sends in not just National Guard but also U.S. military to keep it from happening? Are they going to be okay with that? Be like, oh, you know what, we're wrong. We don't have any rights. That's cool. No, they're not. They're going to be pissed. They're going to want their voice to be heard. And it's appalling to see the amount of violence between a police force in Spain against unarmed protesters who are only trying to exercise their right. These protests weren't overly violent. There were some violent outbreaks with rocks being thrown. I get that. But a lot of these people were just going to try to vote, and they were being beaten down with batons for no reason. And you actually what I found kind of funny, quote unquote funny, is that you had local police protecting the people while the federal police were attacking them. So you actually had police versus police, and even fire departments were coming out to fight the federal, the civil guard, to protect the civilians, in Catalonia. And it's
Yeah.
something that I was kind of like, I didn't think that would even happen, given the state of affairs, the way the world is now. It's just like, if you wear a badge, you're gonna be on, the people who, the government side, whichever way it falls. I found that kind of interesting to watch.
Yeah.
No, when you have a tightly knit group like Catalonia and the Catalan people, um, it doesn't matter what your position is. If an outsider comes in to attack you, you're going to stand with your people, your tribe. And I think that's what that comes down to is somebody's coming in, they're fucking with my tribe. I am not going to put up with this. And so they stood with the people. Now, had it been any other situation, they probably wouldn't have.
Yeah. No, it's very interesting to kind of see the way it's playing out, and the entire world is responding. If you don't pay attention to, most people don't pay attention to currency and the international economics, but there's a lot of concern, because if these, and I was explaining this actually to my kids this week, trying to explain to them why it's happening, why the government's not letting them do it. And it was the 11-year-old that popped up and said it's because of money. It's
Damn right it
because
is.
it's because of money. And I was like, yeah, you're exactly right, because that's a huge section of Spain that's no longer Spain's. And with the amount of debt that these countries are carrying because of the euro itself, Spain needs as much revenue as possible to pay back their obligations to countries like Germany, France,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Netherlands, and stuff like that. So if they carve out, that's how many people worth of revenue they're not going to get. It's all about money. It's all about taxes.
Well,
Mhm.
Catalonia alone makes up like 25% of Spain's economy.
Yeah.
It's huge. I mean,
Yeah, I mean that's
it's huge.
a huge hit to the pocketbook.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And that's what it's all about. I mean, she really nailed it on the head. It's they feel like they're producing so much, but they're paying billions of dollars in taxes. They're paying much more than the other provinces or whatever you
Yeah.
call them in Spain. So they're getting an unfair shake on this. They're producing, but not getting any return, or losing their return, I should say.
Yeah.
So it's so I kind of when you parallel that to the United States, where it's you have this certain class of people that are the head honchos, right? Maybe not in government, but these are the people that are the mass producers,
Right.
and they are being shut down. The government is trying to tell the most important people in Spain that no, you can't do anything against us. This is not the way it's going to be. We rule this. That's like our government telling our most important people, if you want to call anyone more important than anyone else, but they're
Yeah.
certainly producers in this country. That's like going to all the people in the middle class and saying, no, you're not going to vote for shit. We run this place.
Yeah.
And ask yourself if you're okay with that. Ask yourself if you're okay with the federal police, the FBI, the ATF, whatever. I don't think the military would buy into it, but let's just say they would. The military's coming to your door saying, well, you're middle class. You want to vote for whatever the fuck you want to vote for. Ain't gonna happen. Sorry.
Right.
Wouldn't you want to meet that with some sort of resistance if you could? Or do you just want to
Hell
be
yes.
put under somebody's thumb? I'm not going to be put under anybody's thumb, but
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's one of the biggest, I guess the biggest differences is, Europe as a whole, as a culture, is very much more docile, very much more
yeah,
accepting of tyranny, of being oppressed, than our culture is. They're very much kind of just roll with it, but they also typically have more than more than two parties in their government system, where they actually have a little bit more, of a feel of actually being properly represented. And, I don't know how many parties there are like in England, even though technically England's not part of the European Union, kind of, not really, They have like 5, 6, 7, 10 different parties that they have to make coalitions out of. We have 2.
Yeah.
So there's there's some there's some compare, there's some contrast there, but overall, a situation like this, they have tried like hell to have peaceful revolution happen through democratic means, which the government of Spain is preventing. I'm sure California would go through the same type of path, through very democratic means. To what point? People can only be pushed into a corner so far before violence is the only other option that's left.
Yeah. And in California's case, they have one major thing going against them, and that dates back to after the secession of the southern states. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled no state has the right to secede. When you sign on as a state, you're here permanently.
Mm.
Yep.
Yeah. But that's the thing too, is like, when it comes to rulings, it's only as good as how it's enforced.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I understand that, but the point being, in their case, if someone did try to go no, they have a better legal standing to do so.
Mm-hmm. No, I got you.
So,
But that just depends, if someone's trying to break away from a bigger piece of the pie. Let's say, like, I'm sure the Spanish Supreme Court has over the years has invalidated their claims of being able to push a referendum for independence. But they're like, screw it, we're going to do it anyways. Because ultimately people have the right to be free. People have the right to choose how they want to be governed, or if they don't want to be governed at all. And in this situation, forcing people to stay under the control of a government that doesn't represent them is the antithesis of anything resembling a democratic or a free society.
I would say free, not necessarily democratic, because I'm one of these people that when it comes down to it, democracy is nothing more than mob rule. It's the tyranny of the majority over the minority.
But not everyone shares that opinion, especially out in Europe, where democracy was kind of coddled and grown. They put a lot of stock into the concept of democracy. So, well, I'm using that terminology and that phrase as something that we all can kind of identify with, whether or not we necessarily agree that democracy is mob rule. I agree with your point. But there's a lot of people who are huge fans of democracy and thinking that 50% of people, if 51% of people say that raping kids is okay, then hey, that's some democracy, man. No, that's not okay. That's still wrong, regardless of 51% of the people, say it's
exactly.
Okay.
Yep, you're exactly right. And that's kind of the thing is for so long, democracy has been the pinnacle of government in so many people's eyes, but it really never has been. That just may have been the best part of. So I mean, take Greece, the cornerstone of democracy, right? I mean, democracy worked out pretty well for them up until recently.
To a point.
Yeah, but you're exactly right. When 51% of the people say this is the way it's going to be, then the other 49% of the people are fucked, and that's not okay.
Yeah.
You can do this with every single presidential election, right? So Donald Trump didn't win the popular vote, right? Hillary Clinton did. So now all of a sudden democracy is the worst thing that ever fucking happened to one side, and the best thing to the other side. Oh, this is bullshit. Whatever. If it had been the other way around, they'd have been singing a different tune.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just don't. Yeah, I don't. That's a whole can of worms. I really just don't want to open up, because that's a whole nother hour and a half conversation.
Not today, Satan.
No, get thee behind me. But no, it's just been a really emotional week. I feel drained, and it's only fucking Wednesday. Like I'm ready for the weekend. I'm ready to get to clock out for a little bit. But with everything that's gone on and just seeing people, I think that's the thing that kind of burns me out the most, is just seeing how people react to each other and seeing how people are just back and forth. Occasionally I'll jump in and troll from time to time, or I'll post something out there. But for the most part, I've been kind of just watching the interactions and watching even inside certain libertarian groups how things are getting kind of clicky in a way. People, you got these libertarians who are okay with gun laws or gun control, which
They're not libertarians.
I'm like, okay, sure. It's your libertarian socialists who are like, oh, gotta get rid of them. You gotta get rid of them. The collective says no. You gotta get rid of them.
Fuck the collective.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
not a Borg. I'm not a Borg.
Yeah. That's actually I'm putting together a piece, and it's talking about the different types of libertarians that you're gonna meet during this path. I've been working on it for about a week and a half, and it's kind of talking because I'm looking at these groups and seeing kind of how they run their own little cliques. There's all different kinds. It's like it's a sociology experiment gone wrong, and I'm like, oh, this is great. But that'd be a great picture to represent the libertarian socialist, picture of Locutus of Borg, Picard. In case you don't know, I'm a huge Star Trek fan.
Who isn't? I mean,
apparently a lot of people. But
I know one
it's
of us who isn't that big of a fan.
Yeah, probably that one right there.
Yeah, probably one of us.
It's been one of those
Nobody's
weeks
perfect.
where it's like it's just sucked the life out of people, and you're seeing the worst in people in situations like that when you really need to see the best in people.
Yeah.
We got to get this stream synced up with Facebook Live because Katie is commenting as much as she possibly can, and I have no idea what she's talking about at this point. Because
well, we're almost done, so
I'm trying to keep up with her.
We need to look at a chat.
Don't even bother trying to keep up. It's a waste of time.
We need to get
from the expert.
we need to get something like Discord or something so people can chat more in real time. Not really, because if they're watching the Facebook stream, it's gonna be delayed. Yeah, there's about a 5-second delay on Facebook, guys, we're sorry.
We can fire up Facebook. Nah, then we can't. Yeah, fuck, I don't know.
Now I will say, as far as platforms, the one we started with did have one advantage over this one, and that's that people could actually come to the page and watch it there.
Yeah, that's true.
We could do
that for the two people that actually would. I think it was Steve and Anonymous.
And
John. That's right.
Nice.
John would come in too. Yep, John Bryant. I hope he's still floating around. I hope he's still watching the show.
I don't know. He's still commenting daily, practically. So
yeah, I know. He cracks me up. I mean, that guy is like religious on our page, and more power to him. Shout out to John. Holy crap, he comments more on our page than I do, which is which is usually my morning routine when I'm taking my morning constitutional.
I thought it was your trolling time.
It is. Yep. It's my face pooping time is what I call it.
Yeah,
and
right.
Steve is still here. Yes, Steve. All right.
Katie just opened the door, stuck her head in, and stuck her tongue out at me.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's that 5 to 10 second delay that's getting you hoarse. But no. So as far as Dick of the Week, we didn't even discuss Dick of the Week.
Yeah.
Spain is the Dick of the Week.
Spain is the Dick of the Week. Well, I'll send a certificate to the embassy of Spain, being like, "You guys are a bunch of fucking dicks." I like that idea, actually.
Works for me. You have my vote.
All right.
Wait. The motherfucker that shot up Vegas is the Dick of the Week. I don't know.
I was gonna say. I was like, you threw out Spain. And I'm like, okay, I'll go with it. But I was like, I was thinking it'd be across the board. What's his name? Steven Bollocks. Paddock. Sure. Paddock. Whatever. Paddock. Great.
Well, maybe he's the cunt of the month. Spain's
not the cunt of the month. There you go.
There you go.
Because I don't know how I'm gonna send him the certificate.
Yeah.
To the morgue. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Because yes, he killed what I think last I heard 58 people and over 400 wounded.
It's 500 now.
500 wounded.
Well, he didn't wound it. I mean, a lot happened in the stampede too. So
so they are counting the stampede as part of the number. Okay.
But
all right.
Because of his actions, there were 58 killed and over 500 wounded. Okay. how many were wounded in Spain? How, what kind of
900.
tyranny? What kind of tyranny is that in comparison?
900 were wounded in
You
Spain.
know,
That's fucking
Yeah.
nuts.
so
Yeah, that's a lot. I can't even think of a time where our police have been that violent against people, except for like maybe in the '60s when the National Guard shot up Kent State.
I was about to say Kent State's probably the closest one.
Yeah. And these dudes were just trying to fucking vote.
They were
That's
just
it.
trying to
They're
vote.
trying to
They
vote.
were just trying to just have their voice heard, and the government was kicking them down. But then you have people here in the United States who ride the Democrat train, the Democrat socialist train, saying you don't need guns. Spain is a perfect example of why you need to have protection so you can
Oh
prevent
yeah,
tyranny from happening, and not just be a willing victim.
yeah. And going back to gun turning, because and I'm not with it that well tonight. Um, I've been sick as a dog the last 36 hours, and so I may have missed it. And if I did, I apologize. But another thing I've been seeing going back to the entire gun issue is the left, the liberals, are using this to hammer the national legislation to lift the restrictions on suppressors.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's asinine. It's completely irrelevant.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw one earlier that's like, something about. First of all, they were calling them silencers,
Yeah.
and it's like, well, first of all, there's no such thing as a silencer. They're suppressors. They suppress the
Oh my
noise
god.
level.
Someone's been
It's
watching way
still,
too many damn Mission Impossible movies. That's
yeah,
just
Yeah.
fucking stupid.
Yeah. And I'll
it's
give
still,
them that. There are a few firearms out there that when suppressed with the proper ammunition, they do sound a little like a baby fart. Like all you can hear is the bolt hitting the back of the receiver or whatever, hitting the receiver. But yeah, they're not silencers. They're suppressors.
yeah, and
Yeah.
the ones you're talking about are probably subsonic 22 rimfires.
300 blackout.
With a very large silent suppressor on them to you know
300 subsonic 300 blackout. Or there's a very very quiet firearm, but still it's still not a silencer. But
yeah
it doesn't matter anyway because this motherfucker wasn't using them, and he was rich. He could have bought a silencer and used a silencer, but he did.
yeah because I mean, as I understand it, basically, I mean, if you can pass the check to get a gun, you should be able to pass the check to qualify for a silencer. Then you pay the $200 tax stamp. That's it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And we had somebody pop in. His name was Ryan. I was kind of just going through the comments and seeing, but yeah, Ryan said listen to the police scanner audio on the Vegas issue, which is actually really good. There's a lot of stuff on there. You're just kind of like,
Yeah.
So if you haven't, anybody out there hasn't listened to the police scanner audio, it's floating around.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
But there's
me too.
on the police scanner there was calls for multiple shooters.
Yeah.
So take that as you will. As far as all this with the whole Vegas thing, when I'm talking to people, I just want people to think for themselves and don't take the official story as fucking gospel, especially this early into an investigation. They don't fucking know. They're clueless. All right.
Yeah.
And
And for God's sake,
Or
stop fucking arguing with each other.
or they do know, and you're never gonna know the truth anyways.
I
So-
think that last is much more likely.
Right. And so, just question everything. Question what I'm telling you. Think for yourself. Turn off the damn media. They're not going to give you any real information. Dig into the internet. Find this information and put together your own thoughts on it, and see if it matches up to the official story.
Yeah.
Oh, Kristen's chiming in. What are your thoughts on the picture of him dead? Have y'all seen that? I haven't seen that.
No.
Yes, I did.
Okay, so we're not getting into conspiracy theories, but yes, I have picked apart this picture very, very well. First off, I don't understand why he has a chest a gunshot wound in the chest. I can't speak all of a sudden. There's a gunshot wound in the chest as well as there's one in the head. Okay, if he killed himself before the police got there, why was he shot in the chest and in the head? Don't know. Question number one. Question number two is the placement of the gun. If somebody is going to put the gun in their mouth like this, whether they're standing or sitting, it's not going to end up way the fuck back here. It's going to take the path of least resistance. So if there is, it'll be more off to the side like this, not
or down.
down, but not way the fuck back there. Number three, the coagulation of the blood. That looks like it's been sitting for a while. You know, I was a medic in the Army. We dealt with blood. I've seen blood.
Well,
That shit's been sitting there for a hot minute. Okay, so that's as far as that picture goes. That's some of the questions that I'm kind of having with it. Plus, he supposedly had a tattoo that I didn't see, that people have called out as well.
well, from what I understand, from the time his room was isolated, as far as somebody said, okay, the shots are coming from this room, and had it reported to the police, it was an hour before they broke in, and they sat at the front entrance of the hotel for 24 minutes doing nothing but standing around.
Yeah, and then apparently a smoke alarm is what triggered them to go to the correct room, whatever.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
mean,
no,
goddamn,
I've heard stories like that. I guess that might be a police union thing. Like this was their mandatory coffee break for the 25 minutes before they could actually respond to something.
Got him.
It's in their contract, you know that they go on strike.
Well, I'm a pretty perceptive motherfucker, and I can count floors in a hotel. You know, I'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 30 seconds, time to go. You know, like let's just fucking listen for the gunshots, and we'll go kick in that door. I mean, get your fucking shit together. Kick in all.
It's also Las Vegas, so there's gunshots everywhere. All right, so they could have gotten a little confused as well, but who knows? Yeah, I've heard the stories too, as far as it didn't take them forever to get to where they need to go, and actually like an Army vet was the one that it's like, hey, hey, the guys over here, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, cool, no problem.
Now, how about the Marine Corps vet that stole the truck from the concert guy and started rescuing people?
Kudos to him, no doubt. I'm waiting to see if somebody presses charges, because that truck is covered in blood. I am waiting to see if somebody is a douche enough to press charges on that. They'll be next week's Dick of the Week, because
I was about to say, if they do, that'll be the Dick of the Week.
Dick move. And I was talking to Amanda about it, and I was like, if someone stole my van to take 40 people to the hospital, and it's covered in blood, I'll be like, I got kids. They'll detail it out. It's no big deal. I'm not gonna get mad, but who knows? You don't know what the way people are, and I would hate to see the prosecutor's face who has to fucking look at that. I'll be like, he's like, nope, I want to be DA one day. I am not touching this whatsoever. But yeah, kudos to him. I mean, that's the type of stuff that like people do. People, real actual people in a crisis situation jump in and say, what can I do? How can I help? What can I do to fix this? And I love seeing stuff like that. And even though it's a Marine,
yeah, fucking crayon.
I'll give him a buy on it. No, it's just the whole Army Marine thing. But kudos. I mean, dude, fast thinking. Going to a lot full of white trucks that are parked, hoping maybe one has the key in it, and the first one he opened had the key in it. Holy shit, amazing! Real men of genius right there.
That's right.
I mean, I hadn't seen anything about that. I think the one picture that stood out for me as the most is like, kudos to you, sir. You have big brass ones.
This guy right here?
Yeah, this fucking dude.
Drinking the Bud Light, yeah. That's big. Apparently he's doing this while the shooting's going on.
Yeah, it's while it's happening.
That is big fucking brass ones.
He's got that death grip on that beer can, and he's like, "Hell no, I'm gonna enjoy my Kenny Chesney or Jason Aldean or whoever that is." Oh, fuck you, man. That's I'm like, I kind of want to get the picture of that guy and then show him to my kids and be like, "Girls, this is the kind of guy you want to like be with." This man has balls. He's not gonna sit there and cry because his feelings are hurt on national television like Jimmy Kimmel. He is actually a man standing up with the finger up in the middle of gunfire. That's balls.
Stupid, but balls.
It's stupid, but it's ballsy.
Dude, the balls.
All right.
And then that. Oh yeah, we're fucking out of time, man.
No, go for it, man. We're not out of time. Shit, we own this motherfucker.
Mr. That's right. Mr. fucking Instagram, Dan, whatever the fuck his last name is. Dan, is it Blitzarian, something like that. He's some fucking Instagram star. He's always in Vegas with a bunch of girls in his hotel room and shit. But he has this video of him on Instagram running away, and he's like, "I'm going to get my gun," and like that. I wanted to slap the fuck out of that guy. Like,
sure, you are.
Yeah.
What are you? You're just running because you're a bitch, or you're running to get your gun to try to return fire from a de-elevated position, whatever the fuck that's called. You definitely don't have fire superiority. You're trying to fire into the fucking hotel and kill somebody, you dumb motherfucker.
Oh
yeah. And people look up to you. Like, yeah, sure, you're just some fucking douche that has a lot of money that hangs out in Vegas, but you're also someone that people listen to. Shut the fuck up.
I'm gonna go grab my deuce and take care of some business.
Right? Yeah. Shut the fuck up.
Idiots.
Oh,
idiots abound. Like who was came up with that one with the M249 conversion?
I saw that on one of these stupid ass groups that, you know, it was somebody from one of the trolls from the left got in and being like, oh, you can take this AR-15 and convert it to an M249. I'm like, the fuck you can. I want to see this happen, Mr. Wizard. Come on, show me some stuff, Bill Nye the Science Guy, because it's a complete total redesign. With $100 new butt stock. It's gonna completely change it. Okay, to a belt-fed weapon. Yep. Nope. Okay, you're a fucking idiot. Yeah. And so I had to post that on the page. I could not control myself.
Yeah, that's just, there's so much stupidity. I mean, it's cool if you don't understand guns, but just recognize that. Recognize that you don't understand shit.
There's nothing wrong with admitting it.
From the get-go, recognize that you don't understand what it takes to actually legally purchase an automatic weapon. And there's a reason why people like me who like guns and have a bunch of guns, I don't have a fucking automatic weapon because I can't fucking afford one. Pretty much one.
No, I mean, the Class 3 license alone is thousands of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's not something you can just go get at Walmart.
Right, no. Yeah. A 249 is about $35,000. These people are out of their goddamn minds. It's not a fucking bump fire stock. That's a legitimate, like, get the fuck out of here, man.
Yeah, exactly.
I love you too, Dan Kennedy. I love you too, buddy.
Uh-oh. Who's Dan Kennedy? Should I feel jealous?
Dan Kennedy. He was a friend of mine. He still is a friend of mine. I love him to death. He was in my unit.
Okay, cool. Awesome, good deal. Yeah, I guess Kristen also was like, have we heard about there was a couple telling people they were going to die.
Yeah,
I did hear about that.
That was I think it was just a Hispanic lady was running through the crowd saying you're gonna die about 45 minutes before it happened.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to Vegas a couple of times. There's always someone telling you the end is near, so I don't know how much clout I can give to that. But you never know. There could have been, she may have been some lady that overheard somebody saying, "Hey, shit's about to go down. Get the fuck out of the way. We want to kill rednecks, not you." Whatever.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I'm just trying to make sure all the comments are accounted for before we close this out. I'd hate to leave somebody in the lurch. I think we've got everything. Seen him dead. All right. I think we're besides Rob. I don't take anything Rob says. I don't take anything he says seriously. I love him to death.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's
fine.
We troll each other, so.
He's
a friendly troll. He's the kind of troll you want to keep around.
Oh God.
All right. So, you guys got anything else? I mean, we are looking at about 10 minutes over, but I think all in all, it was a good conversation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Fuck bump fire stocks.
That's right. Fuck the bump fire stocks. I've never even touched one, so fuck it.
I don't.
All right, guys. Well,
bullshit.
Tactical Timmy. I love that. You just keep throwing that shit out there all the damn time.
Fucking Tactical Timmy and his merry band of wannabes. Fuck those guys.
All right, so we're gonna close this out. I'm horrible about plugging our stuff, but go check out our website. It's uncivilliberty.com. We'll post some stuff there from time to time. Check out our Facebook page. If you're watching this, chances are you're probably on it. And share it with people, share it with everyone. I don't care where you share it, just share it. and be involved. And if you want to come on the show, send us a message through Facebook. We'll be more than happy to accommodate. We'd love to have different people to talk to besides our three ugly mugs.
Yeah.
But
and if you're gonna troll us, use cuss words, please.
Please,
say
if you're
crap,
gonna
shit.
troll, you gotta remember that I'm like the extreme meme shit poster. So your memes have to be of a certain quality in order to be on the page.
Yeah.
Really high, that is.
Come on, I mean, there's some shit out there. I was like, But-
Yeah, I mean, okay, and these two are the trolls, okay?
Yeah.
More Luke than Halston.
Yeah.
I troll under my own name.
You know.
Yeah.
Now, me, I'm the logical, serious one who takes a rational, reasoned approach to things.
He's the grandfather of the group. You can't tell by the beard.
I'm just not a troll. I've never have been the troll type, so.
It gives me something to do while I'm taking a dump, so that's the reason why.
Gives me something to do while I'm driving.
Whoa.
Just kidding.
All right. All right, guys.
Okay.
All right. Later, guys.
You guys have any comments, suggestions, or anything? Feel free to just send us a message on Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
Or you can shoot us an email, admin@uncivilliberty.com, and I'll make sure that whoever you're sending it to gets it. Outside of that, yeah, you got something.
You can also send questions to
on
our webpage. There's a link under the Libertarian Q&A for questions at Uncivil Liberty. You can also send them there.
All right, yep, and there's I think that's questions@uncivilliberty.com as that email address. Either way, there's ways to get in contact with us. Don't hesitate if you have any questions. Coming up, we are going to be looking at having a couple of guests coming in. We're going to have the Alabama U.S. Senate candidate coming in one of these weeks. We're trying to link up a time with him, Ron Bishop. He is running on the Libertarian Party platform as a write-in. It's going to be a good conversation, so hopefully I can get that nailed down and get that scheduled out. Also, want to let people know that Adam Kokesh is actually coming to Huntsville in October 17th. That's something that I know I'm going to go check out. I think, Horace, you said that you were interested in checking out. If you haven't heard of Adam Kokesh, go look up Adam versus the Man on YouTube. Halston, have you heard of Adam?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm going to try to go too.
Okay. Awesome. So
yeah. Unless something changes, it is a free event.
Yeah. Yep. So all that's coming up. Other than that, let's call it a night, guys.
Okay.
All right. Rock and roll.
Good night, all.
Night, y'all.